Decentraland is another one of those metaverse tokens that had a massive, massive rally coming into the Facebook announcing they're going to be rebranding to Meta and working on the metaverse. Well, I mean, look at this. What is that? I assume that's why you're talking about it. That's just in the last 2 hours we've seen kind of a big price action there. This thing is crazy, man. I mean, let's look at tokenomics. Tokenomics, again, this is kind of where it gets a little bit iffy with coins like this. I don't know. You're going to have to find out for me. I can't look right now without leaking information. I don't know whether this has a locked total supply or max supply. And that is a problem. I'd look at this in terms of long-term investing because, as I've said before, the tokenomics can work against you. If they're constantly releasing coins into circulation, the price is going to be brought down even though the market cap will stay the same. But in terms of TA itself, we're looking at probably a descending wedge formation just off the bat. Something like that. There's only 2 tests at the bottom, and so we can't be too confident as to what it is. But I'd be looking at something like that. In fact, it doesn't actually look like that much of a wedge. Look, if we drew it from a top here, we could probably see it a little bit clearer. That's probably the wedge. And so, yeah, I'd say that's a descending wedge formation. Typically a bullish pattern. It looks like we're going to be rejecting from the top here because of this Bitcoin correction, and we might actually swing down to the bottom of the wedge one more time. What I would say is that there's not much support under us due to the haste of this move. There is support actually here, just zooming out. And so just looking at this briefly, this looks like a pretty good trade if you get another swing to the bottom of the wedge. So MACD and RSI, nothing notable. Volume's low, but that's what you see in wedges, right? You usually see descending everything. Let's look at the 50-day. So what I'd be looking at for Mana if I was going to trade this is waiting for another swing down to, say, $1.60, the bottom of the wedge, and the support, bouncing off of that, and I'd be waiting for a swing back up to the 50-day, which would be at around $2.60 or $2.50, and you'd probably looking to cop probably a 50% gain. So that's usually what you see when a coin drops. It bounces like a tennis ball, and then it flattens out. So this is like a wedge is like the initial drop, and then it bounces up, and then it drops down further. So descending wedge is a bullish pattern. That looks pretty good, in my opinion. But again, it looks good for when you get a swing down to the bottom. Right now, it's too high risk, and you'd be setting a stop loss tightly below that, probably 5% risk. It looks okay. So you asked me about Chainlink. So let's just see here on Chainlink. Hi Wolves, do you think we're testing $20-ish for Chainlink in the short term and then a drop below 10? Well, we can look at that. Wherever, I mean, you're saying you think we're testing 20, so we're going up to 20. 20 is above here, okay? So this is what I'd say to you straight off the bat. $20 is above this uptrending line on Chainlink. And so, no, I don't think that's going to happen. This is my original prediction on Chainlink that I made back here. That played out perfectly. But I don't think that's going to happen. I haven't looked at this chart for quite a substantial period of time. I don't think we're going to go to $20 because we have this uptrending line that formed in March 2020, all the way up. We tested it multiple times. You can see how much we tested this. In fact, I was talking about Chainlink a lot during the bull market. You would have seen I've made probably 5 or 6 Chainlink videos in my time in crypto. And so this line is pretty prominent. And so right now, what I think is happening on Chainlink is we've actually dropped below this line, which is bearish, obviously. We've dropped below it, and now we're coming back up, and we're just rejecting off of it. And I think the Chainlink will probably just do a normal rejection off of that line and possibly go below $13 now. Since we've already held $13 once, okay? When you hold a support, you come back up, reject from an upper support. When you come back down, the chances of holding that lower support are getting low. Okay, and this is going to tie into what I think about Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin's on kind of an imminent rejection here, and so that would make sense for altcoins to drop a little bit more from lower support zones. But I think that, no, I don't think it's going to go to 20. I think that we're probably on the road back to 13 within the next couple of weeks on Chainlink. That's a clear rejection there, unless we break through, unless some volume comes in. Let's check out the volume. Volume's looking okay, but unless something really strong happens, I don't see how we break above that line. I mean, you can just see all you need to do to gather the strength of a support line is look how long this support line has held in the past. And then think, hey, do you think we're going to break through it on one retest? Doesn't look likely. Could happen. With everything above us, though, bull market support bands above the line, all of these SMAs above the line, Ichimoku above the line, 50 and 200, they're both above the line, Gaussian above the line. What's looking at Bollinger Bands have already extended, so we're not looking for an imminent move either. It looks like Chainlink's going to come in for a rejection here, unfortunately, and we're probably going to go to $13 again within the next couple of weeks. I assume you want me to look at Algo, so let's look at Algo, and we'll jump into some more comments after this. Algorand, did a couple of videos on this one in the past as well. I actually did, here we go. This is probably part of my video. What's next for Algo? I assume I did that video over here in July 2021, and you know what? It actually went up from there, so good job. So look, we probably got into that one at around 80 cents, and it went all the way up to around $3. So that's just another piece of evidence there. Just accidentally me showing you that I did in fact call the bottom in July. You can go fact check that, but I don't think it was that hard to call. I really don't think it was that much of an accomplishment. It was pretty obvious. But looking at Algo here. Algo is an interesting one. Algo has not yet lost that major support. I said previously in this live stream, a lot of altcoins are kind of bouncing around it, and they're all losing major support. And how can we be bullish if altcoins are losing major support? Algo's not done that yet. Algo is kind of still hanging on by a thread here. It's got the major support probably between 63 cents, 78 cents, and we've currently just come down and we've tested the top of that support region, and we've had a little bounce. So Algo is in a bounce. It's in a bounce currently. And what can we be expecting from that bounce? Well, looking at other indicators and looking at where resistance is, first and foremost, I'd bring up the volume profile. And I'd see that Algo already just straight off the bat has resistance, at around $1. And that's going to be psychological resistance, at $1.05 it's saying, but I'd say it's around $1. So basically what you see with psychological resistance, for those of you who don't know, it's round numbers. So something like $1, something like $100, $100,000, you see a lot of people taking profits at those big numbers because it just, I don't know how to explain it. It just feels good. You guys would probably know, when you're in the car and you're listening, you get people who only listen to the volume on even numbers, right? It's some psychological thing. It happens in trading as well, happens in investing. People like taking profit at round numbers that kind of are satisfying. And so you do see that, and that's why we have psychological resistance in the market. And $1 is psychological resistance. So just straight off the bat, we're just basically at $1 right now. And so I wouldn't be getting into Algo right now because it's probably going to reject from that, given the fact that I think Bitcoin's going to go down. And so above $1, we're probably looking at resistance. Next major one's probably $1.27. But looking at where the kind of indicators here on Algo, we're looking at bull market support bands way above here. Ichimoku Cloud's probably way above as well. Everything is very, very high up. Let's look at if we have any divergence. We don't have any bullish divergence. We're seeing a MACD cross right now. And so look, I'll take that back. I think there is a potential here for Algo to kind of scrape back above $1. And in fact, it could probably do something like this, where it goes above $1, retests, and then rejects off bull market support that's coming down here, and then heads back downwards to support zone and drops below. We could see something like that, but I wouldn't be confident enough in that prediction to get back in the Algo right now. I wouldn't be confident enough. Looking at the weekly chart, we'll take a look at it just briefly here. And we can see we haven't actually entered that major support. What we usually see and what we saw in May, July, is when we enter that major support, we always close above it on the weekly, and we always wick into it and then bounce up. So that means there's a lot of buying in that region. And so we haven't even wicked into it yet, which indicates strength, which indicates that people aren't even waiting to get to that support to buy. They're buying above the support. And so, yeah, we could see a bounce on Algo. It's very possible. But looking at what it's done, it's always kind of followed Bitcoin. It dropped down in November with Bitcoin. And so, if you think Bitcoin's going down in the short term, that would kind of be a pretty good indication that Algo is probably not going to break $1. But, if Bitcoin kind of recovers here, goes to 40K, there's definitely a possibility Algo can kind of get up and do a quick little 32% gain on Algo. It's possible. And so keep an eye on it. If Bitcoin does kind of swing back up into that channel we talked about on the 1 hourly chart, it's very possible.